Trying to give myself some relief from all of this, at some point I started kicking Tarbeast in the legs when we would be at the bus stop. Hell yeah.
Hello, young lady.
Hello, friend, and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily cringe content anywhere on the internet. Promise, swearsies, it's just a fact, and it's totally science. Go ahead and look it up. You guys seem to enjoy that Neckbeard one-off yesterday, so we got another one for you today by user plainclothespunk. A lot of punk and goth kids on the channel. It's good, though. Does my heart well. No matter how old we get, we ain't ever gonna lose our edge. Let's not delay any longer. We'll go ahead and get on into this thing. The Tale of the Tar Beast by user plainclothespunk. Hello, mighty ReddX community, etc. Mighty ReddX ain't been here in a minute, but we're doing the best we can. This is my first foray into the world of posting to Reddit after lurking for some time. In light of recent events, the Beast, or Beard, has been weighing heavily on my mind. The blazing rage that I feel for what I was put through is not yet quenched all these years later. Oh, it's gonna be a heavy one, isn't it? I think it is time that I release what I have long held inside. I don't know how I'll look coming out of this. I know much of it may sound absurd, but this is what happened to me. Just keep in mind, I was a child, and children are often prone to less intelligent choices when alone. Oh, and we getting children's involved? This is not good.
I don't like where this is going.
I don't like what you're about to tell me, and that feeling of dread is only made worse by the next line. Heavy content warning ahead. Oh boy. This story will not be a pleasant one, nor a light one. This is your warning. We're already strapped in. What am I gonna do? Unbuckle? Bail out? Ejection seat? No, it's fine. We're gonna make it happen. There will be mentions of abuse, isolation, self-injury, threats, sewer slides, attempted assault, alleged witchcraft, animal harm, and Nazism. Okay. I really should have somebody vet these things. Reddit is the pyre on which I torch this experience and release it from myself for good. This is your warning, again. If you cannot read this in good health, I won't ask you to. I also apologize for any formatting errors or any errors in my typing, but please understand that formatting has to come second to the story itself. I mean, as long as you got punctuation, we're good. And I do think that my health is good enough to weather this. Physically, I think I'm about to get sick, but mentally, I think I'm good. At least for now. Maybe not after the story. We got me, OP, plainclothespunk, referred to as PC, but I'm gonna call him OP. Probably ages 11 to 13 around this time. I've lost track of exact dates as my brain tried to haze out these memories. Wiry, pale, and people-pleasing, going through a very rough mental health patch at the time, wore dark-colored hoodies and easily recognized pants. Artist and fantasy lover. Yeah, people-pleasing, that's how they get you, OP. I hope that's gone out the window since. People. Tar Beast or Tar Beard, TB, tuberculosis. The same age as me, but roughly 4 months or so older. Shorter than myself, but bigger and stronger looking. Loved gaming, horror movies, writer, and plagiarist. So, not a writer then. Turned out a fan of a certain failed Austrian artist. Yeah, he likes socialism, but only the national kind. Others may appear, often temporary mentions, but they will be given appropriate names. I want to preface this by saying that I've always wanted to be a good person, a good friend, to be kind, helpful, and loving to others. I strive for that every day. But in the days of my early childhood, when I had not yet grown a spine, the kindness that I attempted to show others was easily taken advantage of, manipulated, and used to harm me. God, I don't know how many times I have to mention this meme, but punks are definitely good people pretending to be bad. And hippies are bad people pretending to be good. I am sorry you had to experience it, OP. But no matter what, there are lessons to be learned. My people-pleasing would hurt me. During this time, my longtime internet crush who I now recognize was also a bit abusive, as he used his self-harm and attempts at ending himself, or so he said, to get some kind of rise or something out of me. Sounds about right, bunch of emo kid stuff.
Which was the style at the time?
I'll never fully know his intentions. Had just left the app we communicated through, and being lonely, I joined another chat, where I had some friends, but they were all online and not in person, and they couldn't do much to help me out of my situation, even if they had known. There's large amounts of time missing from my memory, so a lot of this will be minimal dialogue unless I can remember or pull from actual texts. With that said, let's begin. You can make up dialogue. I love dialogue-heavy stories, but you are correct in saying that the story itself has to come first, and I guess this is how OP is most comfortable. So let's begin, yes. I met Tarbeast in middle school. Yes, that hellscape. I believe it was in art or some other class like that. They'd been talking to someone about a topic that interested me too, and in the effort of making much needed friends, I made a mistake. I introduced myself to the beast. I mean, you probably do want to vet people more than like, hey, we like the same thing. But it's middle school, and peer interactions are very important at that point in time. Much like the tar that I have named them for, Tarbeast was seemingly warm, drawing me in with a cheerful and easy-to-talk-to demeanor, like most sociopaths. So they seemed normal by all accounts. They liked art like I did, fantasy like I did, and talked about the characters and the world that they had made up for something that they planned to write. We quickly became friends, at least I thought so. My early teen year angst, rough patch of emotional health, and people-pleasing, as well as the recent departure of my crush, made me vulnerable to them as they drew me in. Not just drawing me in, but also isolating me from my few other real-life friends. It really is strange, fascinating, terrifying that even in middle school, at such a young age, he's already showing signs of sociopathy. I'm sure it can only go downhill from here, trace amounts of science. Since Tarbeast didn't live far from my house, or far from the bus stop that we both used, I began frequenting their home. Surprisingly, their room was usually quite clean, and so was Tarbeast, at the instruction of their family, but he tended to wear ill-fitting shorts and tank tops at home that revealed more than I was comfortable seeing. Now, I don't think that was purposeful, but also, yeah, not an easy conversation to have. The rest of the family seemed nice, the members they lived with being their grandparents, mother, and brother, their father having passed away. That's rough, dude. Kid needs a father figure. Time for grandpa to step up, I guess. However, as soon as Tarbeast was comfortable with the hold that they had on me, the mask began to slip. And boy, did it slip. You see, reader, Tarbeast had a very violent mind. They took every opportunity to tell anyone that they were comfortable with how much they hated their mother and brother and grandparents, and especially their grandfather, and just how badly Tarbeast wanted him dead. Their ire didn't end with their family either, but others as well, and of course the school itself. Well, I guess Grandpa tried to step up, and for that, Tarbeast put him on top of the list.
No, don't do it! No.
I don't understand. I don't think he fully understands either. Is this just inborn? Was there something we could have done to change this? I don't have that answer. What I do know is that yes, this is only going to get bad. As I started to spend more time with them and sleep over at their house, I began to become more isolated from the people around me. Tarbeast would become extremely jealous when I spent time with other people, begging me to come over, getting irrationally angry when I left, and on occasion threatening to end themselves or inflict harm on themselves. And yeah, OP being the people pleaser, how's she really gonna say no? I'm glad we draw the people pleasing line at helping him to murder his whole family though. That's good. Hold that line, move it forward a little bit at a time. If I couldn't be at their house, they wanted to be at mine. And at my house, they also jockeyed for control. I can't help but notice that we keep using gender-neutral pronouns. I'm really curious where on the beard binary they fall. No matter where we were, we watched what they wanted. alliteration. They played games on my or their console while I watched. I didn't go to bed until they fell asleep first, and in their home, I did not eat unless I was given food. I was quiet, complacent, and small. And that is just how Tarbeast wanted me to be. I was very alone, but Tarbeast gave me their attention, good or bad, and all I wanted was to be a good friend. This is why I turned off the people-pleasing tap, man. All I gotta do is hurt you with it. I am very guarded with who I let in these days. So Tarbeast's room was small. A bookcase separating their door from their bed, a desk with a TV on it, and a closet with a curtain drawn over it, carpeted floors, and 2 flags on the ceiling, the German flag and the Prussian flag. Tarbeast enjoyed the late Victorian era and had plenty of props and trinkets related to pieces of merchandise set at that time. Around the room were scattered assorted nerdy items from games like Assassin's Creed, horror films, and Phantom of the Opera. They even had capes, hats, and a cane, though I know that they longed for a sword cane. Every neckbeard does. Hell, I want an umbrella cane. You know how much use that would get in the Philippines? I can even understand the hats, even though I know exactly what type of hat they are. Capes are where I have to draw the line, dude. If you are wearing a cape, you fully embrace your role as a social outcast. When I would stay over, I would stay on the floor, in the corner, between the bookshelf and the door. While it might come off as petty, I would like to add that while sleeping on the floor, I was never offered anything. Pillow, blanket, and I often ended up using my jacket and backpack. Dude, what the why would you spend an extended period of time at this place? Something happened earlier on in OP's life that she's willing to tolerate this type of behavior. I've seen this 100 times before through different types of abuse. They just tell themselves like, hey, it could be worse. At least I'm not being assaulted in this moment. Jesus, now I'm just depressed. OP continues, but if I might mention again, that was when I slept, because Tarbeast was in the habit of keeping me up till awful hours, and I couldn't sleep until after they had already gone to bed. Oh man, at a certain point, you are being pushed by the universe to draw your line in the sand. But you weren't ready at this point, so we gotta keep on learning that lesson. Still makes me sad though. The longer I stayed, the worse Tarbeast's behavior got, and I began to notice the way they often looked at me. You see, both myself and Tarbeast are trans, and of course, at that age, I wouldn't have had top surgery, barely had. But that didn't stop the beast from leering at me whenever they got the chance, further making me uncomfortable in my own body, claiming that it was my fault for wearing a tank top during the summer. Tarbeast, as you can probably gather, had a questionable sense of personal space and often invaded mine while trying to touch or hug me, whether I was uncomfortable or said no or not. Saw the trans thing coming from down the track. So this is a female to neckbeard transition that we're experiencing. As far as the personal space thing goes, again, super unfortunate. I don't know what you can really even do about it until you're ready to peel them off completely. Another detail about Tarbeast are the aforementioned creative plagiarism aspects and the characters, or more accurate, delusions that they like to make up. You see, Tarbeast suffered like no one else ever before, and no one ever suffered more ever. Jesus Christ, it's Unfortunate all over again. They did nothing wrong, and OP never suffered at all. What was mine was theirs, and what was theirs was theirs, and so on. You get it. Worse than getting it, I've seen it. Never experienced it, though. I'm a bit too straightforward with my wants and needs for people like this. Tarbeast, in their infinite creativity, had created a set of fictional characters which they claimed were completely real. I just couldn't see or meet them. Oh, it's got some Chris Chan crossover. Check out that Chris Chan speedrun, please. We need to boost the numbers over there. I'm gonna link it at the end of this video. A husband who, according to them, was a Russian soldier, and assorted children that Tarbeast claimed that they had together. Holy hell. To entertain them, I had to go along with their real aspect, forced to turn the characters from my own creative venture into some weird amalgamation of what they should have been and turning their daily lives into a drama upon which I had to update Tarbeast constantly. Dude's not even creative enough to come up with his own headcanon. When I tried to get rid of characters, not interested in continuing with them, I realized how seriously Tarbeast took it all. They would become extremely upset and cry and complain for days and beg about when character name was coming back and how much Tarbeard missed them. When I refused, or Tarbeast became upset, they would steal my character ideas and use said characters however they wanted, going on to tell me in what I can only assume to be full seriousness what they were going to do with the creative world that I invented. Jeez, OP seems pretty invested too. I guess they don't have too much else going on at age 11. OP put their heart, their soul, the whole imagination on the page, and yeah, Tarbeast just stole it away. And I justify it here and now because OP says in the next line, I know this seems like small potatoes. From the outside, it certainly was. But at the time, it felt crushing. Now you got me in your corner, OP. I see where you're coming from. In the dynamic Tarbeast and I shared, I felt powerless, and my creativity was my only outlet. My creativity, my joy. They took pieces of that from me and twisted them, using the only things I felt I could control for their own purposes. The delusion also affected my ability to eat when at Tarbeast's home, to some degree. You see, Doritos were a common item in Tarbeast's house, and we'll use them as an example. If I wanted some, I had to do something for Tarbeast. Usually that involved wasting my sketchbook drawing the beast's husband, children, or other delusions in order to acquire my allotted amount of chips or whatever else it was that I wished to be allowed to eat. This is a living hell, dude. You should at least be given what you wanted if you asked for it. But no, there's got to be some sort of useless exchange. Lord of the Cheetos? Unbearable. I know it's likely at some point that you've probably questioned, OP, why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you stand up for yourself? Where were your parents? Where the hell were Tarbeast's parents? And while valid, I've kicked myself enough over why I didn't leave sooner. I just didn't feel like I could. That's about that, really. Tarbeast made themselves the only friend that I had in person. I was depressed. I was lonely. I was isolated. As for my parents, divorced and unaware of what was happening to me, just like basically everyone else, I didn't tell anyone. As for Tarbeast's mother and grandparents, I don't know. Tired of looking after every little thing the beast did, probably. Maybe they were unaware and did nothing. I don't really know, and therefore, I couldn't tell you. Absentee parenting. Bitch, please talk to your kids. Unfortunately, it's time to talk a little bit of violence now. Oh, goody gumdrops.
Oh, my favorite.
Suitable to the Victorian era, Tarbeast shared a fascination with death and cemeteries. They often threatened to end themselves or harm themselves or others. They talked about how much they wanted to or should die, and more. Eee, my brain's making some connections. Some neurons are firing, but I'm not gonna say it out loud. The delusions they had also caused them to spontaneously have whatever mental illness Tarbeast had just learned existed. Oh, some fake disorder cringe too? This story has everything! For example, the time we watched Split in the family basement, after which I spent hiding myself behind the couch in the dark living room while Tarbeast wandered the house and lit kitchen in the wee hours of the morning, mumbling violences to themselves in different voices. What a maniac. How could this possibly end well? It's not gonna end well. The best I can hope for is that OP gets out before Tarbeast self-destructs completely. This might not have freaked me out so much if the kitchen wasn't where the family kept their knife block. Have you ever been threatened with a knife, reader? No? If you haven't, do your best to avoid it. Yeah, them things will kill you real quick. Nobody gets out of a knife fight without a few cuts, you know? Such activities are best avoided, at least until it's time to feed the leeches! You see, Tarbeast had an affinity for knives and blades. They wanted as many as they could get. On 3 separate occasions, Tarbeast threatened me with a blade. Holy crap.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's actually scary as
Once in their room, after my foot accidentally brushed theirs, and they claimed that my nails had scratched them, Tarbeast leapt out of bed and fished from their drawer a steak knife. I no longer remember what else they said or what I said while holding my backpack in front of me as I made myself small in the corner of their room, but they eventually put the knife away. Toenail scratch versus knife stabbing? That's not an eye for an eye. The second time, they threatened me in my own home. I don't recall what provoked them, but they brandished my mother's decorative but very sharp obsidian knife and threatened me with it during the night. Dude, not even safe in your own house? The third time, it happened in the basement after Tarbeast returned from their own mother's room with a knife to threaten me again. I don't remember what I said to avoid being stabbed. I don't fully think Tarbeast wouldn't have done it, given the fact that on several late nights that I was forced to stay up, Tarbeast would insist that we walk to the cemetery. Just me, Tarbeast, and the knife in their boot. Luckily, I never went. Good choice. Being without a blade, however, didn't spare me from the violence that Tarbeast wanted to inflict on me, be that random hits or a slap in my face. Once, they even spread the rumor that we were dating. Given that we were not, and I was not attracted in any way, I made an attempt to grow a spine, and confronted them in the school's lunchroom. This ended with Tarbeast punching me in the stomach in front of numerous people, and in no way getting in trouble. Well, I'm proud of you for trying to grow the spine, OP, and you're right, sometimes they do push back, and then you push back again twice as hard. I don't need this goddamn school's help. I'll burn you to the ground all by myself. It is sort of hard to get that gumption up in middle school, though. I guess I get it. They later blamed this on blacking out and attempted to absolve themselves of fault that way, claiming that I couldn't take a joke after I yelled at Tarbeast over text regarding that event. How do you yell at somebody over text? Capitals? It's not gonna work. The face-to-face confrontation was good. You just can't be scared of getting punched again. As far as the blacking out or whatever, yeah, Tarbeast has already done the most to absolve themselves of any personal responsibility. Anyway, trying to give myself some relief from all of this, at some point I started kicking Tarbeast in the legs when we would be at the bus stop. Hell yeah.
Hello, young lady.
We fight back in any way possible. I don't know if the victim complex was that strong or if they simply had a pain tolerance that weak, but my kicking of Tarbeast quickly escalated into them informing me that if I injured them, they would beset my family with the medical bills, and they hoped the cost would put us on the streets. Ugh, this person is just insufferable. You have the patience of a saint to tolerate any of this. To rehash the mentioned violent hatred that Tarbeast spewed in regards to their own family, it began to extend. They made threats towards themselves, of course, me, my pets, including a kitten that Tarbeast both claimed favored them over me, but also they threatened to throw. Also, Tarbeast's pet bird, which would pick out its own feathers out of stress and eventually died, only to be replaced with another bird. Threats to harm my family members and threats to my current few friends that I drifted from, as well as any future relationships I had. Tarbeast wanted me for themselves. If you're getting jealous over birds and kittens, yeah, you're probably a little too far gone. I don't think it's up to OP to really do anything about this. They're just getting through it the best they can. But the parents, both sets of parents, egregious failure, catastrophic failure on their parts. Twice, Tar Beast got me out of town on vacation with their family in their RV. Once to a rock show, and another time camping. I don't remember most of either event, but one situation arising from the rock show is something that I do remember. After a weekend away from home, Tar Beast gave me a gift. A small tree made of twisted copper wire with small drilled gemstones as the leaves. It was quite nice, and I had nothing else to give my mother for Mother's Day, so I gifted it to her. My mother was ecstatic about the gift, until Tar Beast's mother called my mother asking for the money that I allegedly owed Tar Beast for the gift that I was given. What the f? That little wire tree was apparently quite expensive, and our mothers argued, my mother resolving to just give the frickin' thing back. I felt quite ashamed at the time over that. So it wasn't a gift? He stole it and got found out? Where did he get the money for an expensive thing like that? I got a lot of questions. The answer's probably been lost to the sands of time, but there's something hinky going on there for sure. When I got texts from Tar Beast, most of which I will spare you because I can hardly stand to read them myself. And if I'm not brave enough to write it, then well, you shouldn't have to read it. Hey, I think I said that before. High five. It would mostly be one or more of a few things. Asking me to come over, spamming me when I didn't answer, threatening to harm themselves, pretending to have another personality, or groveling for my attention and pretending to apologize while also putting me down. What the hell is that? Pick a lane. It's also kind of an impressive tightrope act, but we might get to see it for ourselves because OP says, here is an example exchange taken right from a 2018 text log. While I don't remember the full context, I believe I was asked to go somewhere with Tar Beast, and I ignored that invitation. Yeah, for obvious reasons. Tar Beast, I'm starting to think you don't really like me. Very perceptive. Now fuck off. This may be the last text I send you unless the council, which is the personalities that they made up, decides that I will stay to put up with more problems. Please! The council? Even for a middle schooler, this is some deep cringe, bro. OP says I won't be at school tomorrow. Tar Beast, oh? And why's that? Skipping, sick, or an appointment? OP, there's a few things that came up. Dude, you don't owe this scumbag any answers? Just be glad I told you I'm not going. Tar Beast, sure, you really don't seem to care. I was gonna drown myself. My mind won't figure out what to do. I wish it would decide. I'm not trying to guilt trip you. I texted multiple people, and all I got was silence. So if that's what you were thinking, you are quite wrong. You know what? I don't think we're friends anymore. I would help if it was a bad thing, but you never tell me, so I can't be a help. You can't act tough forever. All people break. And that's really what they're depending on, just breaking down your sense of self-worth until they can let themselves back into your psychology at their leisure. But you are right about one thing, Tarbeard. All people break. Put the boots to him. Medium style. OP says, I will act in whatever way I deem necessary. Tar Beast, I'm sorry, OP. I've just been so confined lately. It takes a bit of a toll on my
Fragile little man.
And I went off on you. Again. Sorry.
Fragile Little Mind, call back to the Elliot Rodger Manifesto. Go check that out. And Tar Beast, yeah, go screw. How many excuses can you possibly make up for yourself? Apologize for your existence. Tar Beast,
please accept my apology. I'm really sorry.
Another example, context again, is lost. October 2017, Tarbeard.
You're just a stupid child.
Yeah, we both are. OP says, sure, okay. And you're what? Tarbeast. The only copy I have is blanked here. Ooh, redacted statements. OP says, yeah, sure. I'm still smarter. Tarbeast.
Heh, sure. I bet your parents didn't even want you. They both got drunk and did it, and then they had you.
Whoa, dude, sick burn. Who cares? Another example, I decided to make a correct choice in listening to my parents and not go over to Tarbeast's house. November 2017. Tarbeast.
Dude, teenage years are for you to talk back to your parents, not be a submissive. Okay?
OP, do not call me that. Tarbeast.
I'll be leaving.
OP, why? Because you can't apologize for what you just called me? Tarbeast.
I haven't really apologized to anyone in such a long time. Goodbye.
What a bag of trash. He's just testing the waters, you know? You drop it in there like it's a funny little joke, and I'm proud of OP for holding the line. Bet you we never tried it again, huh? Maybe not, because OP says this was added to the list of names that Tarbeast liked to call me. And it was most certainly an unwelcome addition, especially for young and modest OP, who was shy, isolated, and had never even held hands with a boy. Tarbeast out there watching some of them angry It's definitely not good for your brain at any age, but really young, it's especially worrying. Tarbeast often accused me of gaslighting as well. Yeah, gaslight the gaslighters. Projecting their wrongs onto me and framing themselves as a perpetual victim, especially once my spine started growing in. Hell yeah, them hormones is finally good for something! Once yelling and guilting me for staying home to help my mother, who fell and broke 2 ribs, probably due to the onset of a medical condition my mother has, which caused a loss of balance. Tarbeast, despite my explanation, told me,
I could still come over, but they likely wouldn't speak to me.
I mean, that is a sweet offer, but I don't think I'm gonna accept. OP says, myself having to basically scream at them that I had to stay home to help my mother, so she didn't hurt herself worse while trying to do chores. When I told them that I wouldn't speak to them unless Tarbeast cooled it with their drama, they spewed pure vitriol at me, admitting that they had kissed me on my forehead during one night when I slept over. Ew, dude. They probably honestly thought that that would be the turning point. You'd be like, oh, that's so sweet. No, it's creepy and weird. Tarbeast claimed that that kiss
soothed the pain for a split second.
You disrespect, I'll kiss you on your forehead. You better stop playing with me.
And told me that they had marked all of the places Tarbeast wanted me to cut or shoot them.
Tarbeast would write me letters after they had done things like that, apologizing, claiming that it was the
other personalities,
or that they had blacked out. There's so much to unpack here, dude. Far be it from me to accuse anybody of, like, faking being transgender. I didn't even do it in the Christian video. But much like the multiple personalities, I do think that they're just shielding themselves. What's better than one deflection? Let's have 2. There was also the case of copying me in other ways besides my creative endeavors. You see, reader, around this time, my spine was doing its very best to grow in. It is coming along beautifully. Let me smash it up for you. And due to a different friend, I gained interest in converting to paganism. While that's not exactly what I would consider myself now, it's close enough. I'd still consider myself a practitioner. I venerate nature, and my morals dedicate me to taking care of it because I believe that the land we live on is direly important. The cool thing about the land that we live on is it's going to be fine. All the humans will die. Earth will recover. It's fine. While these beliefs were not pieced together entirely at that time, and I still had much to learn, The moment that Tarbeast learned that I was practicing, they decided that they also ought to be involved. That's right, can't let OP have anything for themselves. Tarbeast blundered through setting up an altar and decided that they would worship Anubis, the Egyptian god of death. Is this even paganism anymore? Apophis, the Egyptian god of chaos, and Ares, the Greek god of war. God, this is so stupid. Yeah, just mix and match. This extended into Tarbeast claiming that they had an ancestor who was burned for being a witch, and insisted coming from that line made them somehow more powerful than OP. I do want to make it clear that I don't subscribe to those ideas. My practice is personal to me. The idea of wielding power over another does not appeal, let alone the gods that Tarbeast claimed chose them and spoke to them in their mind. I'm gonna go ahead and say right here that one flew over the cuckoo's nest, alright? You've officially lost your marbles. I know you're probably faking it, but sit in the psychiatric hospital for a few years until you decide to admit it. God. Hey, so remember the German flag? Oh boy. Remember that National Socialist warning? Okay, so now we're there. Buckle up that seatbelt. Tarbeast was a shorter, portly specimen with rusty brown hair and blue eyes and a large interest in the military and joining the army. Pfft, army. Not even navy. They seemed, however, to full-heartedly believe that in a past life, they not only served, but were personally close to, yeah, you guessed it, the man with the mustache. The big A.H., Tarbeast often claimed that he wasn't so bad. He was misunderstood and was really a sweet guy, actually. Yeah, he just wanted the trains to run on time. This is horrifying. Now, I don't think the term woobification existed yet, but if Tarbeast could have put on the armband and uniform, right along with that black felt trench coat, and licked the boots of that man himself, I'm sure that they would have. Really? I think it's another part of the edgy LARP, but I'm not sure. Woobification is a thing that I hadn't heard of before. And for the uninformed like myself, this phenomena is when a fandom takes a controversial or downright villainous characters and downplays their flaws, often turning them into an object of desire and or a victim in the process. Woobification. What a great and ridiculously spelt word. We learned something today. Thanks, OP. All the bootlicking completely disregards the fact that Tarbeast is quite clearly a mentally unstable queer person who would have tried to treat the grown horror like both a god and an infant. There's only one god infant, and it's the sweet baby Jesus. And if I offend the pagans by saying it, whatever, 2 fingers. I ain't a people pleaser no more. I know all this likely puts a bad look on me, still being around, says OP, especially after Tarbeast ordered themselves a copy of Mein Kampf, which was quickly taken away by their mother. It's a boring book, honestly. He probably wouldn't have read it. Just set it on the coffee table as the edgiest of talking points. I didn't support these delusions. In fact, I support your, dear readers, right to punch Nazis, neo-Nazis, or white supremacists in their face. Yeah, I'm not gonna sign off on that. Assaulting people isn't a right. How do you even decide who's that thing? Do I get punched because I read Mein Kampf just to see what it's about? Probably. You could spin anything this way or that, right? But I firmly believe that we can make changes through rational discourse rather than assaulting each other. Even verbally assaulting each other. I'm not with that. Of course, if there's a threat of physical violence to yourself, it changes things up. But as a policy, I'm gonna say probably don't actually punch people. We make jokes around here, but don't do it. Can't really tell you how to live your life, but my recommendation, don't do it. Anyway, OP says, at this time I was still trapped. As horrible as Tarbeast was, I hadn't managed to worm my way to freedom just yet. It gets darker still, though, and I'm giving you one last warning before I talk. about the attempted assault. Oh, attempted? That's not the darkest depths. A small crumb of salvation, sorta not really. If you're still reading this, thanks for riding it out with me. I got you. I promise it's not much left. I'll try not to go into too much detail. I don't remember what provoked it, but one night, a little before midnight, I found myself under Tarbeast with my legs curled up between myself and them. They hissed in my face and tried to force themselves on me further. When I did manage to shove Tarbeast off, I gathered my things and scrambled out of their room, out of their house, and into the snowy night. Jeez, it's a good thing you live close together or else hypothermia is happening. Tarbeast did not follow me. I called my mom until she woke up and came to get me. I didn't mention what had happened, just that I wanted to go home. Tarbeast would later claim that their vision had gone red, and they had no idea what had even happened. Oh yes, those convenient blackouts. But I could see it in their eyes. I knew that Tarbeast knew. You don't even need to look into their eyes, really. Just listen to the voice. It's so easy to tell when people are full of shit when you just listen to what they're saying. They'd bring it up once or twice in the future when we crossed paths, still claiming not to remember, but a reminder, I suppose, of what happened that night. I regret to inform you that that was not the end of our dealings. That really is astonishing to me. I'm not gonna place blame on the OP in any way, but I will state that I am shooketh. The straw that broke the camel's back was Tarbeast admitting to rummaging through my bag while I slept and reading my journal. I don't know why that hardened my spine even over the attempted assault. Perhaps it was the infringement of the last bit of privacy that I felt I had from them. Whatever it was, I severed myself, finally, from the Tarbeast. There were run-ins, attempts to get me back or speak to me. It's a shameful admission to you, on my part, that sometimes I was nearly drawn back into that tar pit, but I remain resolute. Good job, OP. This has all been a test, and you passed! I have a spine now, one that Tarbeast is not gonna step all over. I'll be damned if I ever let anyone step on it again. Now we are truly living. Tarbeast is removed from my life, but on the chance that they're reading this, they know who they are. F you, Tarbeast. Never contact me. Never speak to me. Never get near me again, or I will beat the living shit out of you. You are horribly unstable and a dangerous individual, and I sincerely believe that even with serious attempts at psychological help from your family, you may still go on to harm others. It didn't seem like they were attempting to get him any help. I think him harming others is an inevitability. Or harming themselves, as the case may be. Everyone ought to be warned, but yeah, I have no more energy for you, Tarbeast. If you somehow truly change, good on ya, but never come near me again. That's about all I have. The rest is lost to time and memory. I'll answer questions if I feel like it, but thank you regardless if you got to the end of this. I am in a better place now. I still feel that burning rage, but it's love for myself, compassion for a younger me, and rage for the fact that I was ever mistreated like this. I don't know how to end this. I hope it never happens to anyone else. An older, spine-equipped, plainclothes punk. I did theorize that it was going to end badly, and it definitely did for OP. I'm glad she got herself out. But the true terrible ending is going to come for Tarbeast. I 100% almost absolutely guarantee it. So not 100, 98%. For this stuff to be happening in middle school, there's just some deep derangement. And this is 2017, 2018. God, I fear for my kids. But also, I talk to my kids. Sometimes I make judgment calls on their behalf. Hey, I don't like that friend. Don't hang out with them no more. Because that's what a good parent does. Part of me did not want to hold Tarbeast accountable for their actions, because I'm like, oh, you got some mental illness stuff going on. But I think it's all a ruse. At the end of the day, I think it's all a shield from their own behavior. Not an accusation that I make lightly. There might be a few takes that are a little bit spicy, but I would be happy to argue about that in the comments with you guys. Because unlike a lot of people online, my ego isn't too big. I do have my mind changed about things relatively often. I want you guys to know that I love and appreciate each and every one of you. I am going to link the Chris Chan speedrun at the end of this video on the end card. Always remember that you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one. So until then, friends, bye-bye. Go ahead and cut them open. It's gonna be fine, it's gonna be fine. Promise, swears he